If we were to slow down what I just did there, F, B flat, F, it would be like this. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. That's it, right? So now I want you to think about F sharp major, okay? If you know that this is one flat, B flat, can you do F sharp major? Just sharp everything. Take a moment, think about that, and then write it down or type the answer. The answer is not a whole bunch of sharps. The answer is all sharp except B, which equals to 6 sharps, which is a good thing to know, right? Okay, good. So now you're going to interactively do this with me. I'm going to go through the letters of it, and you're going to spell the scale, which means that you're going to be placing sharps on every note, okay? So I'll be like F, G, A, B, C, D, B, you know, that kind of thing, right? And I just did the alphabet wrong. Wow, that's great. And it's recorded now. Super. Okay, and your job, you can leave your mics off, but I want you to actually physically say sharp when there's a sharp. Or you can write it if you want. That's fine too. And then not sharp when there's not a sharp, okay? Here we go. Ready? F, G, A, B, that's the one where you don't put the sharp, right? C, D, E, F. You can see how a live class would be better at this, right? Because you could actually hear each other. But that's how we do it. And that's the way you want to think. And then if you know that and you practice muscle memory, you can always play and know those things, okay? It's really important that you think consistently like that about scales and chords. In every class and every year, there's some people with some music background that come in here, and they've pre-learned certain notes to look like something because of maybe how they played the piano. So let's just think about that for a minute. F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B. Okay? A sharp on the piano. Hold on. Don't worry about the top part. This is C, D, E, F, G, A sharp right there. Lots of people in band and in piano lessons have learned that as B flat. And so, you'll get to the right spot, but it's not consistent and it causes you problems later on. This is an F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, because we already have a B note. We don't need two of them. We don't need a B flat and a B. So if you're consistent like this, you'll save yourself problems later, right? Same thing for chords. Don't respell the notes. F scales have an F, a G, an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E. Only one of each of those, and they should only be spelled one way. You'll never have a B flat and a B in the same scale right there, okay? All right, good. Cool. Let's talk about chords and scales. Now, if I were being thoughtful, I might have a piece of scrap paper and write out a scale ahead of time when I do this. But you notice that there's 7 notes in a scale, and then the top note is a repeat of that note. In music, we call these scale degrees like by their number. So let's take a C scale, C major scale. It's got no sharps and flats. I'm helping you with your testing later on. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to 1, right? And you can go backwards. 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay? That's something that this is another way that we label scale degrees, not just by the actual note name, but by their number. And when you build a triad or a 4-note chord or a 5-note chord or any chord in a key or scale, then you use the starting notes that are in the scale there, and you use the scale to build those chords. And we call them by that, okay? So, for instance, if I'm using the C scale and I'm in the key of C, you see we've pivoted now to chords and their numbers. This is chord function. This is really cool, okay? So, if I'm in the key of C, my C scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? C at the top is a repeat. Then if I build a C chord and I play that, okay, that's the 1 chord because it's a C chord and C is the first note in the scale, okay? And That's the most important chord in the C scale. That's where all the music starts and all the music ends, right? So for instance, you are my sunshine. I'm playing a C chord right there. My only sunshine. You make me happy. It doesn't fit anymore because my notes in the melody aren't part of that. The notes in the chord from C don't fit the notes in the melody where I've landed. So I've got to change to a different chord. But it's not any chord in the vast multiverse of chords. It's another chord inside the C scale. Okay? And I'll tell you, there's three most important chords. The first one is the one chord, C. Okay? The next most important chord is the one on the fifth scale degree. So now, if you've written out your C scale or you're really good calculating through, if C is 1, and wait 3 seconds before you type it in so people can work it out. What's my 5 chord? What's my chord on 5? And there's your answer, right? C, D, E, F, G. GBD is how you spell it, but we can just call it a G chord and understand that that's in there, right? So when my melody changes and it doesn't match the chord, the C chord, I have to pick a different chord. Now, your ears will get better and you'll get better educated guesses, but 5 is your next best bet. Now I'm going to do this and we're going to find out it's not 5, but that's okay. Here we go. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy. It doesn't fit. I'll try my 5 chord. You make me happy. That also doesn't fit, okay? And you're going like, why did we have to learn that? Well, 5 is the most important chord other than 1, and I'll explain why in a minute. Okay, so we have to pick another chord. The third most important or frequent chord is 4. 4. Can you figure out what that is in the C scale? Take a second, go up the scale degrees. It's an F chord. Let's try that. Now, if you haven't learned in Canvas how to do thumbs up and thumbs down, I believe that in your chat thing here, there's an emoji thing, right? And you can click on that, and then there's like a thumbs up, right, that you can pick, or a happy face, or all those kind of things, right? Let's do this. We'll try this in real time. I will play chords, and if we match the chord correctly, then you can give a thumbs up, or you can just in your who can see your messages? Everyone can see your messages. It's to everybody. Okay, so 1 chord. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. We tried 5 and we tried 1 for this part. It didn't work. So let's try 4, which is my F chord. If you think it matches, sounds right, you can either privately give yourself a thumbs up, or you could confirm to the class that you agree that this matches. You make me happy. You make me happy. It kind of works, right? Because the note in the melody matches F, A, or C, the long note that we landed on, right? And so there's an agreement there, okay? When skies are gray, it no longer fits. So I'm going to go back to my 1 chord. Gray. And now if you can hear patterns, I'll go from the beginning again. You are my sunshine. I'm going faster because it's taking time. My only sunshine. You make me 4 chord happy. When skies are 1 chord. You'll never know, dear. Sounds the same, harmonizes the same way, 4 chord. How much I love you. Please don't take my son. Oh no. Well, we need a new chord. It's not the F chord. Sunshine. It's not the 1 chord. It's the other most important chord, which is the 5 chord. Please don't take my sunshine away. That's it. So you could describe this song not as a C chord, an F chord, and a G chord, but as a 1 chord, a 4 chord, and a 5 chord, right? And when you learn where that is, if you know other scales and other chords, and you can think of them that way, then you know, you're in really good shape. Hold on, we're gonna play a stupid game here for a second. How many people, you can admit it, have watched a Pokemon like show, television show? Okay, some people are enthusiastically yes. All right, hold on. I'm going to draw a Pokemon for you, and you're gonna have to tell me which Pokemon it is. You don't have to tell me which it is, but how about this? Put a thumbs up if you recognize this Pokemon. All right. Anybody got that? In the Pokemon, Ghastly. Yeah, Ghastly is a ball with fangs, mouth, and these big eyes. Ghastly. He's a ghost Pokemon. Okay, in the Pokemon TV show, when it goes to commercial, they show you a silhouette of a Pokemon, and they say, "Who is that Pokemon?" And then you think about it, and then it comes back, and it's easy because they're silhouettes and basic shapes. Okay, let's just pretend that I was playing Pokemon the card game. That's even nerdier. Okay, and I have a Ghastly. What other Pokemon would I want to have with Ghastly? And I'm not looking for synergies and combinations for all you game card nerds there. I'm just saying, what ones make a set? Well, there's another one. Oh dear, I'm going to really butcher this one. Okay, especially with the felt pen. And he's got claws, and he's got claws, and he's got this eye and that eye, and he's like this, and he's like, okay, forgive me, Pokemon gods, right? Okay. He looks kind of like that. And if you don't know the names, that's good. That means you're not such a nerd. His name is Haunter, is it? I can't remember now, honestly. What happens is, you're going like, how does this got anything to do with music? I'll explain. That when this one evolves, actually doesn't evolve, that's not the correct term, it should be morphs or metamorphizes into that one. This is your basic one, this is your stage one. Yeah, it's Haunter. And then this one here will turn into another one eventually after it grows, and it's called Gengar, and it's like this big hulking Pokemon, and it's like, it's got legs out like this, and it's got big nasty eyes, and this, and it's like, it's got a tail, it's like this, and it's bigger, and it's like that. Now the reason I mention this is if you're playing the card game, this is relatively weak, but if you're lucky enough, you'll evolve it into this, and it has more powers and is difficult for your person to deal against. And then its ultimate form is that one. Okay, so when you go to elementary school and you break the rules and bring your Pokemon cards, which is strictly forbidden, I know this because my wife teaches elementary school, you want to trade not just for the cool Pokemon you like the picture of, but you want to make sets. Okay, because then you have access to like cards that work together. Now, chords are the same way. We've learned a lot of scales and we've learned a lot of chords, but all chords are not created equal. You should always be thinking now, what's my 1 chord in a key or scale? That's what we mean. What scale are we using? What key are we in? What's my 4 chord? What's my 5 chord? Okay, let's try this for a minute. Let's see. I'll do a new song. You can figure it out too. I'm in the key of C. I'm going to start on my 1 chord. Your cheating heart will make you weep. You'll cry and try to sleep. Now, can you see, if you're not on a little tiny phone, that I was on the 1 chord and then I went to the 4 chord and then I went to the 5 chord and back to the 1 chord again? C, F, G. Okay. Let's say that I'm playing this for my Mima, and she can't sing that high. She'd like it to be lower. So that's one of the reasons why I might change scales to accommodate her lower voice. Not lower than mine, but lower in relative to mine in the women's pitch. So let's pick a different scale, okay? And then let's figure out what the chords are. If I'm on C scale to begin with, what's lower than C? Well, let's go down. B, B flat, A flat, G. Okay, let's pick G. You could go way up to G, but you can also go down. So now, I just give you a minute. I want you to think through your G scale. You can write it out if you want to. Figure out what my 1 and my 4 and my 5 chords are. Okay, I'll give you a second. I'll write them as well. Did you get that? Yeah. Your cheating heart will make you weep. You'll cry and cry and try to sleep. Not low enough. Let's try the F scale. What would my 5 chord 1, 4, and 5 be there? And be careful because we have to use the notes of the scale spelled correctly. So think about how your F scale is actually spelled. I'll give you a second for that. I will type in what they are. And I'm not going to put numbers in. I'll just go 1, 4, and 5 so you can just see what they are, right? All right. Now, it's possible that you'll get 2 of these right and 1 of them almost right. The answers are C, it'd be an F and a B flat and a C. Why B flat? Well, B flat is the note in the key, right? F scales are F, G, A, B flat, C. So your 4 note and 4 chord is going to be a B flat. So let's try it even lower. Your cheating heart will make you weep. Even if you don't know how to build a B flat chord yet, you can hear I moved to the 4 chord, right? You'll cry and cry and try to sleep. That's starting to feel country for me right there. It's low, it's whiny. I can be like, your cheating heart, right? Okay. So what if I wanted to be higher than C? What if I wanted to be pitched more nasally and high? Let's do it for the key of D or the D scale. How many sharps are in the key of D? Right? This is one you'll get tested on today. D has got 2 sharps, and that would be an F sharp and a C sharp, right? So what's my 1 chord and my 4 chord and my 5 chord? 1 would be D, 4 would be G, and 5 would be A, right? So originally I was here, your cheating heart, right? But now it's going to be, your cheating heart, that's my D chord, will make you weep, that's my G chord. You'll cry and cry, A chord, oh, and try to sleep, right? Well, let's make it even worse for me. What if I went up to E? Well, you don't even know how to play those chords maybe, but we'll figure it out. What's my 1 chord? What's my 4 chord and my 5 chord? Now, E is a difficult one. It's got 4 sharps, right? It's F sharp and a G sharp and a C sharp and it's got a D sharp in it too. But let's just figure this out. E would be 1. 4 would be an A. There's no sharps on that, so A. And then 5 would be a B, right? And that's going to be even higher. So remember, it was like, you're cheating hard. And then the D key was, you're cheating hard. And if I do E, it's going to be like, your cheating heart will make you weep. You'll cry and cry. Oh, gee, it's really high, right? And try to sleep. Okay, so that's why you want to think of these things, because it's a nice trick for a student to be able to spell all the scales, spell all the chords, and get like really great grades. Like don't underestimate the dopamine that comes from getting great grades. It feels good. But start thinking about how you want to collect these together, right? How do they go together? 1, 4, and 5, okay? Those are the ones you want to immediately think of. All songs can be boiled down into numbers, right? And some songs are more complex and they have like chords that are not even in the key, but that's advanced theory. And you just, you can just make accommodations when that happens, right? Like if I do the bridge from that. Okay, so the bridge goes, when tears come down like pouring rain. That's my 1 chord and my 4 chord. And then we get a mystery chord here that's not in the key. You'll toss around and call call my name. There's my 5 chord at the end of the phrase, right? So there'll be some bonus things in there too, but we start with like, flour, eggs, and sugar or something like that, or yeast, and you make all your bread products like that, right? So there's that. Now, I just want to take this one step further. What about the 2, the 3, the 6, the 7 chord, those kind of things? And actually, even before we do this, let me talk about why the 1 and the 5 chord are the most important. This is not a perfect analogy, but it will help you think of it. 1 chord is where we start and where we end. Okay, it's the key that you're in, the scale that you're using. It's how the piece feels like it's concluded. If you think of it like a hamburger, that's the most important thing, which would be the hamburger, right? And then if you think of the 5 chord, the 5 chord is the other framing chord. It's the thing that either begins or ends phrases. Eventually, everything runs through the 5 chord and then goes back to the 1 chord. So I like to think of it as like 1 chord is the burger, 5 chord is the bun. All the other chords are yummy things you put in there that are not essential by definition to make it a burger, and if you're vegan, it could be a soy burger. That's fine. Don't worry. We can do that for everybody. But they've drastically changed the way things taste, right? So for instance, and the different patterns that are in songs are like recipes. Like I put the 4 chord as important. That's like cheese. Like if you go to any sort of fast food place and you order a burger, the first option you usually get is cheese because it's the most popular one they know they can sell. And in songs, it's the most palatable other chord that we like the sound of that operates well with the 1 and 5 chord that's not the 1 and 5 chord. But there's lots of other chords and other like recipes. Some people are like, tomatoes are really important on my burger. And other people, like my kids, are like, get a tomato away from me. It's like bad and nasty. It only deserves to be in like, ketchup and tomato sauce, right? That kind of stuff. And they're like, they'd rather choke for having, I know, because we had fights over this when they were kids, right? Tyrant of a parent. Today's tomato day. You'll all have a slice of tomatoes. And if you complain, you get 2 slices of tomatoes. They all learn to eat tomatoes, but they all hate them, except for 1. Okay, but it's important to some people, right? Like you might be going, I like bacon, or I like mushrooms and Swiss. Those are different recipes of other chords. Okay, so like for instance, do you guys, when we do folk songs and popular songs, people don't know them. We don't have as common like a campfire culture. But do you guys know Puff the Magic Dragon? You know Puff the Magic Dragon? Puff, Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. All right, so let's just take a look at that to begin with. Can you recognize this first chord right here? Puff the Magic C. If we start on the 1 or the 5 chord, this is our 1 chord, right? Mostly 1 chord we start on. We're in the key of C. All right, now hold on. You might not know this chord. Puff the Magic Dragon. All right, now even if you don't know what that chord is, you know that it's not G, and you know that it's not F, so it could be an A chord, it could be a B chord, or it could be a D chord or an E chord. You can kind of eliminate. And I'll just tell you, this is E minor. It's my 3 chord right there. So we're going like, Puff the Magic Dragon. And that's actually very popular in some folk songs. If you know David Bowie or Shrek, the movie, that turn and face the changes, strange changes, like, I didn't know what I was looking for, and some other lyrics I can't remember, right? And that's 1, 3, 4, 5, right? So, I'm not saying the other chords aren't important. They're just not important in the structural way that the 1 and the 5 chord are, right? And then 4, 3, 2, 6, 7, these are all flavor chords that let you build interesting things, right? And that's not to be diminished at all. It's just you want to have these, like when you're looking at a song, figure out where's my 1 chord, where's my 5 chord. Like in the second half of the term, we're going to learn this song where we go, when marimba rhythm starts to play, dance with me, make me sway. Well, the first chord is A minor, and that's because we'll be dealing with minor scales and keys. But I want you to just think really quickly now. If I'm in the key of A, major or minor, doesn't matter, what's my 5 chord? can think through it. You can also spell your chord, A-C-E, and that will get you root third fifth, which is a quick way to getting to 5. So it's an E chord, right? When marimba rhythm starts to play, that's my 5 chord. Dance with me, make me sway, back to my 1 chord. When we dance, you have a 5 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. Even the bridge, which changes keys and goes to the key of C, goes, other dancers may be on the floor. That's G, that's my 5 chord. Dear, but my eyes will see only you. It's all made up of 1 and 5 chords, right? And you know, you go home, you're hungry, you got some bread and you got ham, you've got yourself a sandwich. You hopefully may or may not have other things to go on it. Same thing for a burger and a bun, okay? Lastly, what are some reasons other than, like, why would we want to change keys? Why not just do everything in C? We already talked about that. Maybe somebody's singing range, or to meet up with other people's, you know, instruments and things like that. You can reduce things to the key of C, or keys that are easy for you to play, so they're easier for you to play technically. Like if I'm writing music and I'm arranging like green sleeves or something like that, where I go like, alas, my love, you've done me wrong, da, 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 da. Like, I'm going to put it in an easy key if I'm arranging that for like middle school band or orchestra, right? I'm not going to put it in a more sophisticated key, even if I feel like I want to go there, right? You also get interest out of songs if you change key. So like you could have like, you got to give a little, take a little, and let your poor heart break a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. Okay, I'm in the key of C, right? So maybe now I do it on the repeat and I go, you gotta give a little, or maybe high, you gotta win a little, lose a little. And so you can get interest. In fact, if you listen to most country songs, they get through the whole piece, and then the last time through the chorus, instead of stopping, they crank it up a step, changing key, and that's what they do, right? So, you know, you can get interest out of that way. And, you know, sometimes something very basic is very good, and sometimes you want to do that. So there's technical reasons for that. Let alone, like, I'll just tell you, if I listen to an album and it's all in the same key, it starts to grate on me a little bit. It's really nice to get out of there and have something different. Okay. We're not going to do 7th chords today. I've decided we'll save that for next time. But I hope you're starting to see today these things lock in together. We use certain chords in a piece of music because they fit from the set of chords from the scale, or the what we call key you're in, okay? And certain chords, not just random chords, the 1 and the 5 chords set up your framework for starting and ending phrases and feeling like you're home or away, and then the other chords get put in to change the flavor and the nature of it. There are some chord progressions that are just more popular than others with us, just like there are some recipes of food that are more popular with the general public. And that doesn't mean other ones are wrong, but like you can boil most pop songs, like 50% of pop songs out there, 1, 5, 6, 4. That's so many pop songs. Like you'd be surprised how many of what's on the radio, and go back all the way to the Beatles and before them. It's just that, because, you know, people that are making songs have limited maybe understanding of theory, and they're mimicking things that they already like the sound of, and they go like, oh, there it is. And then they go, they're not even worried about people calling them out for not being original. They're going, that sounds great. I like that, right? And so that's what they do, right? And so we learn these formulas, right? And then they can help us technically as well. And so now you'll start to say, well, at level 1, I got introduced to what they were, and I learned how to spell them, and I learned how to describe them and things. That's why I listen to rock music. Yeah, that's fair, you know. But now you can say the next thing is to start to think of them in broader categories as well, right? So, you know, look at Koodle-Doon. You'll find that it's all 1, 4, and 5 chords. Look at Lavender's Blue. It's 1, 4, and 5 chords. They come in different order. They have different melodies. And then I guess the second concept is if you're trying to make songs yourself, usually the notes that you're on in the melody that you land on, they can move around and don't have to always be in the chord, but where you land on and stick on in important places, they're part of the chord. So if you're going like, I've got this melody, this tune, and I put it in this key and I'm on my one chord and now it doesn't work, it's because the note that the melody is there is not matching with the chord. And if you know that your melody is right, then you got to change chords. And if you know that your chords are right, then you got to change your melody note, right? Okay. And so, that's that right there. Like, that's it. By the way, this is not just ook songs. Like if you go, okay, it's just Highway to Hell by AC/DC, I think, right? That's an A chord. That's my home chord, my number 1. And then this is D. That's 4. Oh, you know what? I lied. We're in the key of D. So we start on 5. 5, 5, 1. 5, 5, 1, 2, 3. 5, 5, 1. 1, 1, 4. 1, 1, 4. 1, 5, 5. Right? And so it's framed between those things, right? And then the bridge is actually, or the chorus is made of those two just in a slightly different way. So, and I don't, for myself, I don't belittle pop songs and say they're simple. Like I'm classically trained composer. I've written piano sonatas, orchestra pieces, whatever. A well-crafted pop song is a beautiful thing, right? And there's some great pop songs that have one chord in them and no other chords, right? And we can talk about that later. All right. We're done. We're done. If you have questions, please feel free to always email me. I'm happy to do that. If you need Zoom help with something, don't hesitate. If you're struggling for more than 20, 25 minutes on a topic and you can't figure it out, it's you missed something. It's not that you're dumb. It's you missed something. Like I drive a car with a clutch in it, manual transmission. And then my daughter goes in to learn how to drive it. And she goes to turn the key. Actually, it's a push button key. Doesn't even turn on. She goes, car's broken. It's like, no, you got to put your foot in on the clutch pedal, that extra pedal there, all the way in, and put your other foot on the brake. Otherwise, the car will not turn on. It's a safety feature. Car's fine. Janesha, my daughter, is not dumb. She just didn't know that one little thing. A lot of times when it comes to this music theory stuff like this, the theory's fine. You're not dumb. There's just one little thing you weren't aware of. And so if you're struggling with the ukulele, something here, right? Struggling with something in theory, if you spend due diligence of 20 minutes and watch the video twice and you still don't get it, get a hold of me. I'm happy to help you. That's what you're paying for. You're not paying to jump up to this high because I said so. You're paying for me to script and help you through the curriculum and give you a good environment to learn. So, okay, I'm going to put you in break rooms now. If somebody's got to leave early because they've got to go to something else, please just be vocal about that and say, like, please let me go first. Test each other on those cards, right? The C, F, G, A, E flat, and D, and B flat. And let's see. Participants, chats, more, breakout rooms. All right. If we make 4 breakout rooms, you'll be in a group of 2 or a group of 3. Okay. When you're done that, you don't have to come back to the class. I'll hang around until my next class, which is in 10 minutes, but you can just exit out. I'm sorry we don't get to do more face-to-face. The only thing I really hate about the online format is that we don't get to play together live. But there's so many other good things about the format too. Here we go. You're going to go there. It's going to say you're in thing. You'll have to jump in and then just test each other. Be kind, right? And then go report on how you did. See you next week when we have another one of these.